We'll welcome everybody to the live session for our meditation clinic. Our main host for today's chat will be Coach Gabriela Palma Cruz, who is a familiar face from our weekly meditations and has graciously done a wonderful job this week with our meditation clinic. So with no further ado, we'll hand that over to Gabriela for today's discussion.
Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing?
Good. Good to see you.
Very good.
Doing great. Thank you for asking.
Good. So I guess I just want to check in with you guys and see how you're feeling and what were your thoughts if you had an opportunity to watch the session on Wednesday and if you had any questions. So I'd love to answer any questions that you guys may have in regards of meditation practice or understanding of energy and how this kind of things affect your overall well-being, your life, your happiness. So
for me, Gabriela, I think I definitely left the session having more awareness of how much everything that's going on is affecting me, and I kind of made it a point to kind of plan out to take control of what was affecting me. And like this morning, for example, I pre-booked time that I was going to stay home, like get up, but spend quality time just kind of meditating in bed, just really taking that time for me and not just rush out and be affected by, like, I haven't turned on the TV. I'm not going to watch the news. I'm not going to do that, and letting this just kind of be a day to kind of cleanse. So I think that was the biggest thing I took from Wednesday, was going, you know what, I need to control that by setting aside time to slow this down and help it heal. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. That's actually one of the main tensions that I could get from sharing that knowledge is exactly that. It is actually that empowerment that we do have control over how things affect us, and the understanding of energy behind all of it. It just gives you more tools to be able to manage. No, the world is always going to have crazy things, and there's always going to be interactions. There's always going to be things impacting our energy system. But if we don't really take the time to acknowledge those things and utilize the tools to basically be able to separate some of that outside interferences, then, you know, we just really end up getting overwhelmed, and our physical bodies at some point do end up hurting and becoming ill because of all that stress. So yeah, I mean, if you got that out of the session, that's all I could ask for sure. And that's like a great feedback. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Now, just as a curiosity, you know, I myself, you know, I grew up in Brazil, and I grew up in Rio, which is a very hectic city. No, I mean, I think right now we are 14 million people or something like that. Like in the little state, and then the city itself, I think is like 9 or 8. But I mean, it's very big, you know, and it's always like a constant go, and it's not only known for being beautiful, but unfortunately, it's also known for being more danger, like kind of like a dangerous city. And I did find myself growing up and always like feeling scared and not really knowing what I could do in order to let go of everything, you know, and really enjoy my city. And being able to understand more about energy did allow me to calm down and to be able to not only be aware of my surroundings, but also be able to transform energy in a way that I hadn't been able to do before. You know, we usually say here in the US that if you woke up in the wrong side of the bed, I think that's the saying, right? In Brazil, we say that if you start your day with your left foot, you know, I don't know why, but there's a saying, you know, kind of like that. Just basically things started wrong. And usually we have this impression that if things are wrong, they're going to continue to go wrong, right, throughout the day. Like as humans, we have this kind of like this feeling, once things start going wrong, it's just like a snowball effect after that, or a domino effect after that. And just being aware of energy and being aware of that power that I could shift things, that was what really helped me. Even if I woke up and something like not so great happened in the morning, that my day wasn't over. Being able to utilize some of those tools to just kind of like, okay, let's just stop right here and reset. And that's really, really important too. So even if for whatever reason something after, after this meeting, something happens and, maybe you did get a glimpse of the news and that upsetted you for that moment, know that you do have tools to just transform that like right away. So that's really, really important. Now, are there any other questions or comments, that you guys would like to make as far as our sessions?
Actually, Gabriella, getting into a little bit, obviously, I'm pretty involved in each week, so a lot of this is built for me. But one of the things that I took away from this week's session, especially the presentation part, and then going into the homework and the practice yesterday, was thinking more about the meditation focused to improve focus. Because I'm probably one of the worst with my phone is always around me. And then I'm not necessarily torn, but my attention span is spread sometimes across 3-4 different things, whether it be home childcare at the moment, a handful of other things going on in my life, and then obviously the news and things. So I really kind of yesterday, I took a moment to focus on the meditation to improve focus. And I'm curious, is to improve the focus, it's not necessarily to wipe everything away, but then it's not necessarily fine tuning and only focusing on one thing. So wondering if you could expand a little bit more. If I know I need to focus more on topic A, do I use the meditation to improve focus to enhance topic A, or is it a matter of just clearing the spectrum so that topic A so how does using meditation to improve focus work necessarily if I've got 10 things to focus on?
Right. So that's actually a very good question. So it does not require you to pick and choose. It's actually, the analogy that I'm going to give, it's like a computer, right? So we're talking like in our little preview session about like Mac and Androids and things like that. So when we first started this development as human beings, it took like an entire floor of machines to basically do one simple math equation, right? So when we talk about meditation that will improve focus, it's kind of like a development on a software, right? Like your system is learning how to process things faster so you can actually develop more focus. So there's really no need for you to just basically go, I really want to focus this and my meditation is going to be based on that. And that's why the meditations actually focus on these areas of your body. So think of this part of your system, this energy center that I mentioned, the ajna, kind of like as a software, right? And what we're trying to do every single time that we do that meditation, we're upgrading it. We're developing a new version. And then the same way that, for 50 years ago, one huge computer could only do a small part of things, now we have like small devices that can do a lot of things. So that's what we're trying to do. We're just basically trying to increase our processing capacity. And that happens when you activate that particular energy center. It's not going to happen overnight, but then that happens, the more you do and the more you activate with different things. That's not the only way that you do it. Then the more you notice that you will be able to manage multiple things at the same time. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's kind of like how truly how it works. And, oftentimes people think that you really need to be like, oh, that's the only thing right here, right now. And it's not that. Like the more you develop your energy, then you do increase your capacity to manage like different things at the same time. There's also, of course, there's the we always say about being present. You know, so like you've mentioned the situation with the kids and things like that. It's hard sometimes, especially in the situation that we are now, where a lot of us are working from home and we have to manage, you know, spouses and kids and all of these different things at the same time, including work. And that can be a little bit challenging. And for that, I think I will revert to the one thing I said in the homework was choose a space. So often when it comes to meditation or anytime that anytime that you need to increase your focus on something, your environment is very, very important. So sometimes, like if you know that this space in your house is not a quiet one, it's not going to be inducive to like you focusing. So maybe sometimes it's better to not utilize that space, you know, because you're just only going to be challenging your system to, you know, to be doing a lot more work, right? So it's like, think of like a computer again. Like if you have 5,000 windows open, you know, sometimes your computer will slow down, and that's the environment.
Gabrielle,
go ahead.
On that, because that was one of the things from the homework that kind of jumped out to me. It was weird because I thought of like choose your space where it has to be perfectly quiet and stable. But I found that like for me, the space that I was trying to meditate in was I was trying to make it perfectly quiet. And so I was distracted by everything. But I moved to another space where there is natural noise and natural light. And I'm actually able to focus more because I'm not distracted by those things that are going to be out there. And I've actually found it comforting to have it not be totally tranquil. So like I don't really look for my brain. I perfectly quiet, I get all in here and all this stuff I start thinking about. But a little bit of distraction, maybe it's a little music or even just hearing, like to me, it's weird. I can hear the trains go by outside. It comforts me at night now. So
no, absolutely. There's like tons of research that talks about white noise and pink noise as that just put you in that brain wave, which is very similar to the brain wave we're looking to achieve when we are meditating. So a lot of times when I say about this space, it's more of like an energy feeling. It's really not like, oh, it has to be quiet. And that's why when we were talking about homework, I was like, it's not really a homework. It's more like an experiment. You know, who likes homework anyway? But it's truly about that. It's exactly that understanding, like, okay, quiet doesn't work for me because I'm in touch with my energies and I'm touching with that feedback. And it's just like actually making me feel not calm, not, you know, settled. It's making me feel more antsy. You know, I'm noticing it. I'm hypersensitive. So absolutely just choosing that space and figuring out what works for you best. That's really, you know, that's really, really important. And it doesn't really have to be perfect. You know, perfect does not exist. And I always find that that ability to be able to be calm when there's a lot going on, it just comes with time for sure, you know, and that's something you can achieve by increasing your meditation practice and by doing more of this little, you know, tasks throughout your days. And it's just, you know, it's just going to depend on which level you're at. So sometimes for some people, if they really don't have that quiet moment, they can't really focus. But when it comes to tasks, sometimes, you know, having your kid like pulling you and being daddy, daddy, or mommy, mommy, like it doesn't help. So sometimes like kind of like stepping away from I'm gonna call the problem, but it's really not a problem. But it's stepping away from the thing that it's causing you to lose your focus. Then sometimes it's helpful, you know, as far as at least in terms of gaining focus and things like that. So yeah. So yeah, thanks OJ for sharing that. And I'm just curious to find out if any of you chose anything as far as your physical shift. If you did, you know, what was that you chose?
I don't know if it counts, but I kind of like just I found laying on my back on it's weird laying on my back on the floor with my legs up on the couch. It's just weird. It's like I said, oh, this is actually, I'm really comfortable. I feel comforted here, and it's so freaky looking, but I went from thinking sitting in a chair to me was not relaxing. And I think from being a musician for most of my career, from 5th grade on, it was like, that's work. And so once I got out of that chair and on the floor, that made a huge difference in me being able to go somewhere that was relaxing.
Yeah.
So.
That's really cool. That's actually a very relaxing pose, not only from energetic perspectives, but from biophys perspective too. Like you get more blood flow back into your head. You open up your hips. There's like lots of good on that position. So we often encourage people to do that if they have circulation problems, if they if they have blood pressure problems and things like that. Like that's like a very, very good position to be. Like even if you are healthy otherwise, but if you've experienced a long flight, for example, if you were in an airplane for more than 5 hours, or like your circulation has definitely been impacted, even if you didn't really feel like it, that's the perfect pose to go in to just reset and to diminish jet lag symptoms, right? So you just lay yourself and put your legs above your head, and sometimes 90-degree position, sometimes straight, depending on what feels more comfortable to you. That's a very, very good good pose for relaxation specifically, and for resetting things like that, like longer plane flights or long days sitting, or long days standing, like it's very good for blood circulation and energy circulation overall. So that's cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Like I said from the beginning, it's just really understanding like how your system works. And the more you understand how your system works, then the more you can adapt, and the more you can figure out how to utilize your body to really accomplish that relaxation that you're looking from the beginning, or that looseness that we are looking from the beginning, and this topic, I'll definitely cover breathing, for example. So we talked a little bit about breathing when we were in the session, and I've mentioned the importance of the pause, and I've mentioned a little bit about really, engaging your diaphragm. I guess I repeated that a few times, and we often don't think about, but because we do so much chest breathing as humans, that are super stressed out, we don't realize, but we end up causing so much tension in our system from all that chest breathing 24/7. So basically we're utilizing muscles that are really meant to be helpers in the breathing process, and they really don't have the capacity to be breathing 24/7. They're just like meant to give that little nudge. But we're using them sometimes all day long, including at night. And then we're like, oh, I have this neck pain, I have this tension in my shoulders, and we don't even know. We haven't been doing anything. You think you haven't been doing anything, and you're like, maybe it's the computer. I'm gonna shift the computer, and you shift the computer, nothing changed. And then it goes back down to breathing. An example, it's like when people talk about like holding a glass of water that is like half empty or something like that. Like you're holding that glass of water. If you're doing for like 5 minutes, yeah, like you'll be fine. Like there's no problem. But then if you're extending, that hold, if you're doing that hold for 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, those muscles are not meant to do that for that long period of time. And you're going to get soreness, you're going to get tightness, and you're going to feel the weakness. And that's what happens a lot of times with these muscles here in our upper body, in our necks and in our shoulders. So breathing properly and breathing through our diaphragm can really avoid headaches, really, really avoid headaches, tension headaches, and it can avoid, neck pains and things like that. So, if anything, like if you feel like you're getting tense, if you feel like you have a headache coming, sometimes paying attention to that breathing is super, super important. So how about we actually get ourselves into a nice, comfortable position, and we go ahead and we do a nice breathing session. And I'm going to pull out the same app that I had on Wednesday, because I do think that that's really nice. It gives us a rhythm, and the more you become used to used to breathing, you can even slow down that breathing. So I mentioned in the session on Wednesday that a 70 beats per minute is pretty comfortable for the majority of people. But for some people, that might be a little too fast. And for some people, that might actually be too slow. So the more you become familiar with your breathing and your breath technique, then you can even slow down that rhythm a little bit more. So we're going to do some of this breathing, and I highly encourage you to place one hand in your chest and one hand in your belly. If you feel like you got it and you don't need that, then that's okay. So the rhythm is kind of like this, and I'm gonna guide. I'm gonna do the 6-3-6-3 once again. That's a very, very nice breathing. And you may place one hand in your chest, one hand in your belly. Let's just go ahead and exhale everything out, remembering emptying your lungs. And then whenever you're ready, you may inhale for 2, 3, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, and exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Inhale, hold, exhale. Just continue to breathe slowly through your nose, engaging your diaphragm. You can notice that sometimes just by imposing a rhythm to your breath, then at some point your system on its own starts to function in that rhythm. And then you can even stop with the rhythm. You can just kind of like go with the flow, inhaling and stopping and exhaling, stopping. You notice that you won't be as hard to do that. So whenever you're ready, just go ahead and you may lower your hands and open your eyes. So I highly encourage doing like some breathings every so often, even though, we say, oh, you're breathing all the time. And the main key points of understanding how utilize breathing for relaxation, for meditation are, really engaging the diaphragm, really focusing on exhaling more than inhaling. The focus is truly on kind of releasing things. And then as well, the rhythm, as some point as you slow the breath down, then you're going to notice that you're going to feel that calmness and that pause feel like a lot more intense. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. So let's just go ahead and start with a little bit of a meditation. I always like to utilize the first meditation, which is the heart and crown meditation, because I do feel that shifting our energy quickly is one of the easiest ways to kind of like get our system to reset. So in whatever comfortable position that you are, you can bring your eyes to a close. Closing your eyes allow you to focus more in other parts of your system. It just diminishes one of your inputs. So there's nothing else coming in terms of inputs, at least not from your vision. So you can focus on other inputs. So you can close your eyes, bring your awareness to your physical body, and we're gonna do our area, in any area of your body, any area of your system. And if there's any discomfort, just note that discomfort And let's just assign, for example, a number. Let's assign a number for any type of discomfort that you may have been feeling right now, whether it's a physical discomfort or an emotional discomfort, or even, some thoughts. Let's just assign a number for that. 0 being like, okay, it's just really not that big of a problem. It's not bothering me at all. And 5 being like, okay, this is really like in the front of my attention right now. So just notice any part of your body or your emotions or your thoughts that is giving you some kind of discomfort, and just number that discomfort from 0, not big of a deal, to 5, okay, I can't really think of much else besides this discomfort. And let's just start our meditation by utilizing our left hand to tap our heart. So when we're talking about activating our hearts, we utilize our left hand. Our left hand is often the one that we utilize to symbolize relationships when we place rings and things like that. So we symbolize love usually with our left hands. So we are utilizing the left hands to activate our hearts by touching our hearts 3 times, just simple taps. You may lower your hands afterwards. And with the focus on your heart, allow yourself to recall a happy moment. As you recall that happy moment, smile. It's important that you actually do the motion of smiling. Research proves that if you actually smile with your face, you activate parts of your brain that are responsible for happiness hormones. How amazing is that? So smile as you recall these happy moments. Smile to your heart. Allow your heart to expand as you recall the details of this happy moment. Gently inhale and then exhale. Whenever you're ready, with your right hand, you may tap your crown 3 times. Your crown energy center is located in the top of your head. And your connection is where your power comes from. And we are often utilizing the right hand as a powerful hand, a dominant hand. And our power surely comes from our crown. With the focus on your crown, allow yourself to recall another happy moment. And as usual, if you're recalling a happy moment is difficult, just make one up. Once again, even fantasizing about happy moments helps your system to release hormones that increase your happiness level. So visualize that happy moment happening right in front of you. Once again, smile. Allow your crown to expand. As you feel these energies of happiness throughout your entire system. Now bring your awareness And visualize the earth the size of a small ball right in front of you. This part of the meditation is extremely important. Not only it's important to share these energies of happiness, these energies of joy, but as you share, the more you receive. Visualize the entire earth being showered with energies of happiness, harmony, bliss, joy, compassion, peace. Visualize these energies coming through your crown, passing through your chest, and reaching the whole earth in front of you. And whenever you're ready, you may lower your hands on your lap. And just once again, bring your awareness to both your heart and your crown. And whenever you're ready, just raise the awareness from the crown to about 1 inch above your crown, 2 inches above your crown, an entire foot above your crown. Bring your awareness to the space outside of your physical body, 1 foot above your crown. Visualize brilliant light in that space. Visualize that brilliant light, intense, strong, super shiny. And with the focus on this brilliant light, bring your awareness to the space in between your inhale and your exhale. There's no need to control your breathing, just simply notice the gap in between your inhale and your exhale, and this brilliant light above your crown. And just simply let go. Allow yourself to enjoy a few moments of silence. If any emotions are rising, maybe anger, maybe frustration, let them go. Let those emotions go right now. Just gently, slowly come back to your body. Wiggle your toes, your fingers, move your body gently. From this brilliant light above your crown, lower your awareness back into your crown, back into your heart. Just raise your hands once again in front of your chest with your palms facing out. Let's just go ahead and visualize our families, our loved ones, our friends. Visualize your friends being happy, healthy, joyful. Your loved ones also being happy, joyful, healthy, peaceful. Visualize all of those who surround you with so much love, so much compassion, so much kindness. Visualize all of these energies in their lives. And if you have any goals, projects, and wishes, visualize those right in front of you as they have already happened. If there's any changes, anything that you're trying to accomplish, maybe just needs a little push. Visualize that happening right now. Energize all your goals, your projects, and wishes with a lot of concretizing energy. And one more time, lower your hands facing the floor. Visualize light coming out of your hands, the bottom of the spine, the soles of your feet. Visualize this light going into the earth. Allow yourself to feel the strength of being rooted, being connected, and being grounded. Feel the strength of being back into your physical body, back into connection with the earth. And whenever you're ready, once again, you may wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, and open your eyes with a big smile. And let's just go ahead and rub your hands together and massage the top of your head. Gentle tapping in your chest, sweeping of your arms, underarms too, your belly, sweep your abdomen, your kidneys in the back, sweep your legs. And last but not least, a big inhale through your nose. And an exhale with sound and release through your mouth. Yay, awesome. So take your time. Whenever you're ready, you can pop back in. Just wonder if there are any other questions or comments. If you'd like to share anything. Actually, it's a good time to actually do your check-in again. You know, if you assigned a number before you started this practice, what's your number now? If there was any discomfort, physical discomfort on your body, how does that feel to you now? If there are any emotional discomforts, where did that go? Did the number shift? Is it still the same? Which is possible too. If there are any thoughts, are those thoughts more intense, less intense? Just acknowledge those and just do a check-in after your session. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments. I'm here. Thank you.
As always, I feel so much relaxed. I wanted to bring up one point that Daryl brought up a little bit ago when we talked about a little bit about like the physical surroundings, and he brought up getting relaxed when sitting and watching the lightning storm roll through. It's better when you're on a prairie and can see it 30 to 70 miles away. If not a storm, then just kind of watching the clouds. And as soon as he typed it, I didn't want to interject too much into the conversation, but during the meditation right there, I actually went there in my, because I'm very much a water guy, and my zen is being out on a boat, and I can remember many times being out and seeing storms on the horizon, and that connects also with kind of the tempo of waves. Of course, I've also lived in Oklahoma, and I've seen storms roll in, like you mentioned about the prairie. So, question to you is the physical setting externally, whenever we use those nature scenes, especially in kind of connecting to the nature, is there a specific connection there that is important, or that enlightens us to anything, or how to use that physical connection with nature?
It's always nice to have that connection with nature, and I can totally relate to a lot of the things you mentioned. Being from Brazil and Rio, we have like really heavy rains, and I remember how awesome it was to hear that noise of the constant rain, and like how that was calming to me a lot of times, and how it made me feel really at peace. But the main thing here is exactly that, is to just realize that often you don't need to be exactly in that place where you originally felt that sensation to return to that. So I think that's like the main key point of this particular technique, is that you realize that you felt peace when you were in the boat, that you felt peace when you were watching the storms, and remembering that it's like a memory, it's there. And if you can tap into it, you can achieve the same sensations, or at least very close to it again, because it's there and it's in your system. And like often I will think of sometimes many different things that will bring me back to that happiness, that will bring me back to the space. It not necessarily in connection to nature. It's just really a personal thing. So if those nature situations were the ones that entice that sensation, absolutely you can use them. For somebody else, maybe, for example, I myself, I enjoy driving, and I'm happy when I'm driving. I love driving. I don't know why. It's something that I enjoy, and it's completely detached to nature. But sometimes, like, I would think of myself when I'm driving, and I'm happy driving.
Gabrielle, this week, from the Wednesday session to a session I know that LJ and Gabby sponsored with Navy yesterday, and today I'm getting it's like an opening. I was medically retired 9 years ago, and my career, I was a musician, and that was kind of a really ugly separation to have that taken from. And I'm seeing this connection now as you're talking about these, and like LJ talking about remembering being on the water. For me, I just kind of had this epiphany of why do I feel comfortable with noise? My comfort was in the middle of the orchestra, when there was sound, and I'm comfortable with that. I felt at peace there in the middle of the orchestra. And I was like, I don't like it when it's quiet. That's not where I feel safe. And it's weird. I realized that for, 9 years since I've been medically retired, I had to push a lot of that away, because it brought up just kind of depression from not having that anymore. But I really have seen now, it's like, some of that, let's turn it around and let it be something that does cause good memories. And so I felt that through this session, just as like, oh my gosh, I like the sound. So thank you for kind of helping with that this week. So
thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's very interesting how we can switch in memories. And I like the word that you've used, like safe. I don't know if I've mentioned before, but I've done a lot of labor support in my career, and supporting women through birth. And, we often tell them exactly that. A lot of times we try to impose, oh, this is what's safe, that's what's safe. But in reality, it's what's safe for you. How does one feel safe? it's going to be different for each person, each woman, each human feels safety differently. That's just really what's important. Like, what makes you happy? You know, something that makes, like driving, for example, is something that terrifies some people and like they become extremely tense. But for me, I like it. You know, works for me. So, you know, just really figuring out what works for you. And I think, you know, it's just treating each person as individual and figuring out what works best for you, what combination of tools works best for that person. You know, it could be meditation and exercise and medication. It could be, you know, meditation, exercise, and diet. You know, there's a combination of things that we can utilize to help people, but not segregating any type of tool and bringing all of them, really treating the individual. And that's kind of like one of my passions, and just really allowing people to understand that what works for your neighbor might not work for you, and that's okay. But, you know, there's tons of other things out there that we can figure out what's going to work. And that's really, really cool. So I hope I answered your question too, LJ.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I honestly think especially we could continue this all day. And of course, this week has been a great clinic with diving deeper into the methods and the practices that you share on a week-to-week basis. So it's always fun on every Wednesday getting that new slide. And then now I think those of us that have gone through it, and again, I have no doubt that you've expanded your reach so greatly with us being able to push this out and just share this virtually, that I think next week and the ongoing weeks, people are going to be able to engage more and recognize a little bit more with the practices that you're implementing. So again, as I always say, thank you so much. I think we'll kind of do one last call with Nelson and Daryl if they have any questions. And I know we'll give Daryl maybe a few seconds, minutes to type it in if he can. But Nelson, and again, we're in the San Diego area, so I think you guys already have a connection and have an opportunity to connect in the future. Anything closing up, Nelson?
Yeah, well, first off, thank you everyone, you know, like for sharing your perspective and your insight. Meditation for me has always been, or kind of like that, you know, like that spiritual part of it has always been one of the biggest challenges. Let me rephrase that. Not always when I wanted to start it. The reason why, it's because I am so used to living in that chaos, right? And not about noise, but it's just like when something bad is happening, you know, we always talk, like before we've talked about how meditation is supposed to bring you down and calm you down, right? But like, it's kind of like I'm wired backwards, I feel. If there's no chaos or anything wrong going on, I just cannot find myself, and it makes it so much more difficult for me to find that inner peace. So that's the part where I have the most trouble in most of the things that I apply, because I am fully committed to a holistic approach to my recovery. I don't take any medications. I focus in a lot of the exercise, the diet. My best times to meditate, it's when I'm either on a bike or when I'm under a lot of stress, which puts me a lot of in that sympathetic mode. And we talked about, like, when, you know, like especially with breathing, you know, like releasing it out, we're on a full parasympathetic when your muscles are fully recovered. But I am constantly in that sympathetic mode, that everything is so tight, but that feels okay. But physiologically it doesn't.
I'd love to address that. First of all, it's pretty clear that you're a healer. Doctors often, you know, not often, all the time, like basically they are studying to find where the problems are. And you are no different than that. basically you already have that nature, and that's going to make you an amazing massage therapist when you finish, because you're going to be able to literally just kind of like revert and fix, you know, that person and just figure out how they're, you know, what is it that they're doing wrong, and that's just really actually a great skill. So I wouldn't say that that's the one thing that's preventing you. It's actually a really, really nice skill to have. It's problem solving, right? So a lot of times we don't really feel like you're in that nature. And I would say that knowing how you can help somebody else, and knowing where you work best, it's being in alignment. Just because it doesn't look like something else that people might perceive as being a meditation or as being you know, calm and collected, it doesn't really mean that that's not your alignment and that's not your calling, you know. So a lot of times people have this idea, and that's what I've mentioned too on Wednesday. They have this idea that, you know, somebody that is meditating is just really zen, really calm, and just they always talk like this and everything's gonna be all right. And it's not like that. We really do need sometimes people that are like, no, let's act this. No, this needs to be fixed. And that's actually a lot of times how you bring order and to many situations, including internally, you know. So if you can find, you know, where things are wrong with you, then, you know, it's your way of healing, and it's that understanding of energy, it's that understanding of yourself that really helps to bring things to order. And yeah, like I said, you know, being in a meditative state doesn't necessarily need to mean always calm and peace. Sometimes it's alertness, sometimes it's awareness, sometimes it's, you know, grounding. Like, so it's many things. So thank you for sharing. I hope I encouraged you with your practice.
No, thank you. And valid points that sometimes we don't see, right? And that sometimes is what we need. We need to. It's not the validation part of it. It's just like probably see it in the scope of someone else. So thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course.
And Daryl checked in, said he was great and much appreciated the session. And actually that comment right there, that conversation made me think of music and how some people relax with Beethoven and classical music. And then some people want that loud, heavy, just like rock music to find their peacefulness. So I think that was an interesting point to perhaps close in on today. But again, Gabriella is always available come Wednesdays via Warrior Care Facebook. And I'm sure as we move forward, we can talk more about her availability in real life, at least here in the San Diego area, as she's continuing to work with service members in the area.
Thank you so much. See you guys Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, LJ. Bye, Gabrielle. You guys have a good weekend.
Again.
You too. Bye-bye.